You are now listening to The Art of Reinvention by TeflonJohn, where my goal is to inspire you mentally, physically, financially, and spiritually. And I just want to help you grow the garden of your mind. I just want to change the world one person at a time by giving them motivational advice, inspirational advice. And right now, I'm glad that you're tuning in to the podcast show. So we want you to sit back, open up your mind, and just absorb all the content. Please share this content across all of your social media platforms as it will help this show grow. Sit back and enjoy. One love. Be blessed. Yeah. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy TeflonJohn coming to you courtesy of the Art of Reinvention podcast show. And today's show is going to be fire. It's going to be hot, man. I got my man Willie Sanders, who's a great friend of mine, who's also in that motivational speaking, trying to inspire people realm. And so, Willie, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience so they can know who you are.
First, man, I want to thank you, man. Thank you for having me. It's a privilege and an honor of mine. Man, as you know, my name is Willie Sanders, also known as Wisdom. Just always give me some words of wisdom. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida, born and raised. And I'm just out here trying to reach others and reach people that are looking and need that motivation, that inspiration on days when they feel like they don't have it, but realizing it's always built within themselves.
Got you, man. And look, and everybody, Willie is a powerful guy, man. You got to check him out on Facebook. He has some powerful videos, you know what I'm saying? And he always keeps it, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? 100, he always keeps it fresh. And what I love about Willie, man, is you can tell through his voice, you can hear it in his voice, his passion for helping people. And like I said, when me and him met, we didn't know each other. We met through another friend, and we reached out through Facebook. Thank God for technology. And we met, man, and we hit it off because like minds think alike. So tonight's show, whatever time you're listening to it, is going to be on breaking through stereotypes, right? And so we're going to tackle this subject because I think stereotypes is something that really holds a lot of people back. So, Will, what is your take on what is a stereotype?
Well, my take on a stereotype is pretty much it's a mistaken idea and a belief. Like that's what it boils down to. It's a belief that someone has on a gender, on a situation, or on people. And when they put that stimulation in a belief, because I've grown to learn that no matter what the fact is, people beliefs overrule the fact.
Powerful, man. Say that one more time.
So people beliefs, your belief system will overrule any fact that you have to believe whatever you want to be.
So you mean
for example, so for example, let's just say, I'm saying apples. You see, and you know for a fact that the apple is green. But if you believe that the apple is red, no matter what you see with your eyes, that the fact is, and you see it, you'll believe that it's red, and that's going to be what it is over the fact. Which would mean that'd be a stereotype because you just, regardless of what the fact was, you had a different belief.
Wow.
That was mistaken.
That is powerful, man. And so what you're telling me, Will, just so the listeners, I'm gonna clarify for the listeners. So if I can physically lift a box off the ground, right? Physically, I'm capable of it. Science says it, you know what I'm saying? Trainers have evaluated me, doctors have looked at me, have no illnesses, no spine condition. But if I don't believe I can lift the box will never leave the floor.
Correct.
Wow. And so basically what you're saying is the amount that we can get done in life, or the amount that we can start, or the fact that how we approach a situation is all in our mind. That is powerful, man. That is powerful.
That's where everything starts.
Now I want you to elaborate on that. On this part of stereotyping is the power of the mind. Can you dive deeper?
Yeah, man, most definitely. So when you have a situation with the mind on stereotyping, and we can be transparent, it's one of those things to where let's just take what society now looks at, where humans and relationships, right? So we've all have relationships, and we know growing up, and we all have the mindset knowing that the man is the head and the woman is the help, right? So the stereotype normally comes along to where it's like, okay, women are supposed to take care of the house. Like that became a stereotype to where women, this is their lane, and men stay in their lane and working, right? So as growing up, what do you do, or when you see that a man is taking care of the house and the woman is working, right? So when you see that in public, like you start stereotyping, because it's just like seeing a woman in the military, or seeing, because it's like, okay, she's already in a male dominant, organization. But what about the man that takes care of the house, and it's like he gets frowned upon because he's not working, but yet he's taking care and putting a foundation down in his household while his wife is doing the work. So we quick to stereotype that to be like, wait, the woman's doing the man job. Like he's supposed to be the breadwinner. And I think that's a major one that everybody has, because it's a thought process that goes on in your mind. Like, who told you that the man can't take care of the house?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
who said it? Like, what law says that the man can't take care of the house? When, if we dive deeper, the Bible says the first thing that a man was given was responsibility.
Yeah.
So if he's taking care of the house, guess what? That's a responsibility.
Mm-hmm. And you know what's crazy, man, is when you look at a stereotype. With me being a personal trainer, and I've been doing that for several years, one thing I learned throughout my education was, whenever you're dealing with a client, you have this thing called limiting beliefs. And these are things that affect them getting, any type of results, right? So a limiting belief is what they accept, the reality that they accept. And some of this stuff has been set by society. You know what I mean? So society, so if society says that you got to have this job and make, $80,000 a year by the time you're 30, then what most people do that accept that type of limiting belief, if they're not there, then they become depressed, they become anxious, and ultimately they can end up messing up their relationship or marriage because they feel unfulfilled in life personally, and it bleeds out into their other relationships. And so you have to look at, especially with social media, what are you comparing yourself to, and who set those standards? You know what I'm saying, Will? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you ever scroll on Facebook and you see like a married couple or whatever, and you see that picture and everybody's happy, who says that 5 minutes before they took that picture, they weren't ready to get divorced? That's a millisecond out of their day. And you're comparing your life to a millisecond, a split second out of someone's day. Now, when it comes to stereotypes, Will, and I just want to dive in on this, what about the cultural stereotypes? Could you get into how sometimes cultural stereotypes can hold you back from progress?
Well, it does. It does a lot, because everyone's culture is different. Like, and it's not anyone's fault. It's just something that, we grow into. Like, a lot of us, African Americans, we always feel like, someone owes us something. And it shouldn't be that way, because it's the mindset, and also it's the culture that we have and what we're experiencing as we're growing up, because no one is teaching, like we used to anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So because you got to see better to do better. So if I don't see better, if I'm in a community that doesn't show me where I can do better, of course we're going to have the stereotype where every African American, the only way to be successful is to be a rapper, to be a sports player. Because that's all we see. But if I don't see anybody in my community that, that's a doctor, that's a lawyer, that's a carpenter, that's an entrepreneur, I don't have that mindset, because I'm not seeing better to do better.
Exactly.
So that's why you have, your Asians, as we always, stereotype that, their culture is they're a lot smarter in math, and then you have, other ethnicity groups are, they got the Chinese, they are better in, architect. That's just something that the culture has said, okay, this is the limitations, that you're going to be good at. And because, we're set, like society is setting that standard. So it's like, okay, if that's the standard, that's what we're going to do because nobody has let me think outside the box. So therefore, I'm going to go to school because my mom wants me to go to school, not because I want to go.
Exactly.
That's a stereotype. Like, I don't even want to go to school. I can be an entrepreneur, but I'm going to do something she wants me to do to live her dream.
And
culture stereotypes is really very hard to get away from.
Yeah, and it's hard to get away from, man. And you'll see a lot of times where a cultural stereotype can really keep you in a paralyzed place. And what I mean by that is, let's say if you are a person that likes to be different, right? You just enjoy doing things different, but you love sports. Some people would not play sports because their cultural stereotype, like for young black African Americans, either we're fast, we can jump high, we can run, and we're athletic. So some people will stay away from their God-given talent, just so they won't fall into a stereotype. You know what I mean? Because I remember when, where you could be just a young black African American male wearing gym shorts, and everybody assumed that you were a baller, that you played ball. But I think that sometimes when you're trying to step out, like if you're, I remember like for career day, they would ask some young African American males, you know what I'm saying, or some other black males, like, what do you want to be? If you said like architect, doctor, if you said, you know what I'm saying, your peers would clown you because you didn't want to be a rapper or you didn't want to be, you know what I'm saying, some type of entertainer. Your peers would clown you if you wanted to be a scientist or something like that. You know what I mean? So Will, can you touch on that, like how the stereotype, how the pressure can come from your family and your peers that actually stop you from doing what you want to do?
Well, they'll stop you because they are the people that influence you. So, and I think that's where it's tough growing up, because like I said, I grew up in the hood, and it was tough for me because, like I said, once again, I didn't see better to do better, but it held me back because, like you said, when we had those career days, I didn't want to learn how to draw or what carpenter was because, like you said, I had people that put me in a box that was like, you're not going to be able to do it because it takes X, Y, and Z process for you. You got to spend more time in school to do that. And it was like, man, like I'm already struggling. So why would I want to stay in school when, the system or people say that the system is, made for me to fail? So it'll hold me back because my peers, my parents, like your parents don't really push kids to, be all they can be. It's like, they kind of give them the lead way. So therefore, I'm going to be what you agree and you allow me to be because you're not pushing me the way I should be pushed. So therefore, I'm held back, not knowing that I can push myself forward, but I don't have the people. Like I said, it takes a village. So when you don't have the village saying, hey, you can do this, it's okay to step outside of the box, it's harder for you to believe it. Once again, we go back to believing.
Yep.
It's harder for you to believe it when you don't see the facts.
Yeah.
So sometimes you need to see the facts to be able, and that's why when Black History Month comes around, it's like, oh, we do have black people that invented things.
Exactly.
That's why you don't never hear. I mean, you always hear the common ones. You got the Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks, but they don't dive deeper into the ones that did the process of breaking that bridge to where, we got the neurosurgeon, one of the best to ever do it. So and we're held back because of our peers that tell us that sometimes on the low that we can't do it. It's not that they don't say we can't do it, but the gestures and how they're looking and the things that they're pushing on us doesn't say that we can do it.
Yeah, and it's like you said, some people have never seen it done, and I think about, back in the day, like when I played sports, most of my friends smoked weed, you know what I mean? So at times I felt out of place because I didn't sell weed or smoke weed, you know what I'm saying? So it's like when you think about who you're around and what the actual stereotype is, and like you said, if that's all you're around, it'll make you feel out of place, and sometimes it'll make you feel like you should just join in with what everyone else is doing.
But one thing that I know that stereotypes can also help you in a positive way, because now you want to break through that stereotype. And could you touch on how
Yes.
a stereotype could empower or motivate one to break through it?
Yeah, like so when you're in a situation to where you are stereotyped, there's a switch inside of you that goes off where it's a frustration switch to where you want to be the first, and it's good because now you have something that drives you that you didn't have before. So now you're willing to like, okay, I don't care who don't like it. I don't care, who don't like me. I'm out to do what's best for me. And that's where the mindset switches from I'm not worried about what my peers are saying. I'm going to move forward. So, and that was like for me, like I said, growing up, I had friends that was on the corner and I had to walk past the dope house or the crack house every day. Like it was literally like 15 steps away from where I stayed at.
Mm.
And, and of course, the stereotype for me was, they was like, hey, don't mess with him. He's going somewhere. So they didn't allow me to get involved with it. So when I made bad decisions, they was like, hey, no, you can't do that. You got to go do something. Like, let us mess ourselves up, but you got to go do something.
Mm.
So I was like, that pushed me because I was like, I can do something better than just play sports. And then as I got my scholarship from playing sports, my agent told me something that was very key to me was basketball did something for you, what it's supposed to do. And it wasn't make me a lot of money. It wasn't, give me a lot of fame. It gave me a free education that nobody can take away from me at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it pushed me to do it because I didn't graduate high school. I was stereotyped. I was the all-star basketball player, all-star football player. Could have went to any school, but didn't graduate because of a test. So when that test didn't, deter me to the route I wanted to go, I was stereotyped because everybody seen me and just knew, I was best successful, most popular to succeed. So now I went from, being stereotyped to living a lie. And it wasn't good because I was like, I don't want to live this way. So that pushed me to where I got to go back and get my GED. I got to go back and get my associates. I got to go back and get my bachelor's. Now look at me.
Mm.
So now when people see me and I tell my story and I tell them who I am, they still go back to that person who was 10 years ago and still try to put me in that box and stereotype me to where, no, you're not a motivational speaker. You're not. We know you as the person that did, who used to be on the corner with us or used to make bad decisions.
Yeah.
Or, used to play basketball. Like, that's not me anymore. So don't put me in that stereotype box because I've grown to another level. So I push myself out of that box to not be in it.
Yeah, that's a great point, man. Like when you're talking about the people that knew you, you know what I'm saying? And the Bible talks about, how a prophet is often not heard in his own home. It's hard to, I guess, impact or come back to people that knew that knew your past, and they do stereotype you based upon what they knew you. What is your advice to someone who has changed their life, who is going after goals and dreams, but people just can't seem to leave their past in the past, but they're stereotyped by what they've done in the past? Like, what is your advice to that person?
My advice to that person is at the end of the day, understand who you are and why you are different. God made all of us unique. So what I tell people is people are going to talk about you whether you're doing good or bad. So if people are going to talk, give them a reason to talk by doing something positive, doing something like the best way to kill anybody is be positive. Because the thing about it is they haven't seen you grown. So it's like if me and you got in an argument and I haven't seen you in 5 years, guess the last memory that you're gonna have with me and you?
Exactly. Arguing.
You are arguing. So when people don't do that and don't come back and realize that you have grown, whatever their first instinct is, I want to argue. Because they haven't forgiven and moved on to understand that, look, that's not even me no more. Like you got to understand, and that's in relationships. Like people have relationships with someone that has grown, and then 5 years from now, they'd be like, oh, hey, such and such. And you'd be like, oh, hey. And they'd be like, remember that time? Like, wait, I don't even, that's not even me no more.
Yeah.
Like,
Now,
you about to try to put me in the category what we did 5 years ago, and that's not even me.
exactly. Now,
Like,
Will,
I don't even look at them.
Now, I'm gonna stop you for a second because you brought up a great point, and I want you to elaborate on that. Now, you said that sometimes people get stuck because they haven't forgiven people, right? Now, do you think that there's a correlation between unforgiveness and stereotyping?
Most definitely.
All right.
Because
now,
like we said, stereotyping is a belief. It's a mistaken belief. So there are people that are mistakenly believing something that's not true, which means they haven't forgiven the thing that they needed to forgive because it wasn't true in the first place.
Wow. Great, man. That is a great point, man. I definitely wanted you to, and you did a great job answering that, man. I definitely wanted you to clear it up for our audience. Now, let's touch on another one. So I want you to elaborate and tell me, what do you think lack of education or ignorance has to play into the whole stereotyping? So we're talking about lack of ignorance. We're talking about lack of education, lack of knowing. How does that play into stereotyping?
It plays a big part because when you don't understand something, you should seek knowledge, but a lot of times we don't because, once again, we believe what we want to believe. And I like to call it the rule of the first, right? So the rule of the first is whatever I've learned first, I'm going to believe that. And what happens is, as you grow up in life, you believe in that one thing, and you have so many things that are coming at you from different ways, different, things happening in life, but you still have that one thing that you're remaining on to believe, even though other things are coming at you that are true. So what you will do is you'll be like, no, I'm not believing that. I'm not believing that because I have the rule of the first. So it's hard to break down that barrier because you've already set a standard that you're not going to come off of what you already believe.
Yeah, and it's almost
so when you're
like,
not educated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when you're not educated, what happens is you'll find yourself like, I don't want to say you're not dumb, but it's just you're not educated. And I go to say that, I give you a story like myself. I went to a school that was all black. I didn't know that other people exist in this world. Like, I knew they had white people, and I knew they had, African Americans. But when I went to college and I seen people that was from Lithuania, from Germany, from Belgium, from China, I was like, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I don't even know who these people. So me being uneducated, here I am trying to talk to a young lady that was from Brazil. So not knowing, I didn't know her language. So meaning I was uneducated, and I wanted to show how educated I was, and realized I opened my mouth thinking, okay, people from the stereotype, people from Chinese, we assume that they're supposed to, they speak Chinese. People from China speak Chinese, right? So my mind went instantly, okay, she's from Brazil, so she must speak what? Brazilian. That's not even a language.
Wow.
Like, that's not it. It's Portuguese. That shows how uneducated I was because of the stereotype. Because I felt like, okay, people from China speak Chinese, so somebody from Germany speak Germany. Like, that's how uneducated I was.
Yeah, and let me ask you a question though. Like, you had made a good point to where you said when you met her, you didn't speak the same language, right? So yeah. I think what happened after that was an assumption. Now, do you think when you look at the racial tension in the United States, right, and you look at African Americans, you look at Caucasians, is it that we're not speaking the same language, so then assumptions are made? Because I've met so many people that when they meet me, it's like, well, you're such a nice young man, and but they're not saying it to where they expected that. You know what I'm saying? They're saying it to like it's a shock that, hey, there are nice black young men out here. You know what I mean? And I don't know if it's from like the media showing like one side of us, but it's like their expectation is low. So it's almost like the assumption. So had we never had a conversation, they may assume I'm trying to rob them or I'm hostile or, you know what I'm saying? So can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, so and that comes from a bad experience happening. That's a learned behavior. That is a learned behavior because, like you said, once again, people affiliate, African Americans as these thugs because they see it on TV, they see it on Cops, they see it on First 48,
Mm-hmm.
So you see someone that's dressed apart, but then they are educated, and when they're speaking, it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, I wasn't expecting you to talk like that. Like, I was expecting you to talk like what? What were you expecting? So, and it's a learned behavior because I remember I want to start this foundation, man, and it's going to be called Plus One. But basically what I did was I want to go to the grocery store and just, have people send in donations and just help people that don't look like me. Just help people that just don't look like me because I remember I had an old lady that was behind me and, I was in line and she was getting her medicine. And I told the lady at the register, I was like, hey, ma'am, I want to pay for this too. And like the lady gave me this look like she was about to hit me with her cane. And I was like, I said, no, man. I said, I just want to bless you and do this for you. And I left with a better understanding that what I just did has probably never been done. And she probably had the wrong expectation or stereotype that changed everything for her now to where if she sees somebody else, she can't never say that she didn't have a good experience from dealing with a person that was of color.
Got you. So,
and that's what normally happens.
So would you say that to break a stereotype, it takes patience? Like, what are some of the characteristics someone has to have? Because it seems like you could have reacted in that situation and really proved her stereotype true. So what type of characteristics and what type of things do people need to look out, not just African Americans, but anyone who are trying to break stereotypes?
The first pillar would be to just forgive. Like, you got to forgive whatever you've learned, whatever you thought. And then once you forgive, you got to know how to love people. That's the first commandment that God given us. He was like, you got to love people the way that I loved you. So when you're able to do that, you're able to do things that just come natural to you. So you got to forgive, then you got to love others. And then once you love others, you got to put in action. You got to put love in action for that to really happen. Because, yeah, you can say, I'm okay with people and things like that. But what actions, what love of kindness have you shown to people without an expectation to do something?
Powerful, man.
So I think those three pillars: you got to forgive, you got to love, and once you love, you got to put that in action.
Exactly. And I would say one of the characteristics you got to have is patience, but you got to lower your expectation because, like you said, it took you to have understanding that when the lady reacted like that, she's about to hit you, you had the understanding that maybe the only encounter she's ever had with someone of color was of aggression or something like that. So you had to approach it with understanding and patience because you ever dated somebody, Will, and it's like they were the stereotypical person that been hurt. And so when you dating them, like they accuse you and, because they're broken people, but you have patience to deal with them to try to work through that. And I think that's the same approach that we got to take when it comes to breaking stereotypes, because so many times we can prove somebody right if they assume that, oh, well, you're just here for that, or, well, you're just going to be aggressive. It's true that we can flip out and, lay you out or whatever, or someone can prove you right. But I think that you have to think about the actual situation and think, okay, where did this person get this belief from? Sometimes it's not their choice. Some people have been raised a certain way since they were little. And like you said, if you see it and that's all you see, then that's all you know. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
Yep.
I would say, man, like as we wrap this up, like what message, what powerful message do you have on stereotype, and and how do you want to take it out? Like what would you want to leave somebody with?
I would leave someone with just understanding that whatever stereotype that you have or that you believe, find the facts out first. Find the facts out first before we're so quick to judge in the stereotype. Because it's not always true. It's, like I said, all the stereotype is, if you look at the definition, you will see that it's just a mistaken belief. And it's what you believe for yourself to be true. So it's what you believe. So when you put aside all the hurt, all the pain, like understand stereotype is something that's within. So I would just say, like I said, be patient, be kind, and just love one another and understand that this is why we are here. We are here to not stereotype each other, not pull each other down. We are all here to help each other in some way and somehow. And we have to figure that out by doing love of action and love of kindness.
Powerful message, brother. Powerful message. I just pray that it doesn't fall on deaf ears, and I just pray, man, that what I'm saying, like when people hear that, they will apply it to their life. Now, Will, man, like for everybody who wants to get in touch with you, man, I want you to give out your contact information and your social media, or however you want them to get in contact with you. Go ahead and give your information out.
Yes, so you can find me on Facebook. It's Willie Sanders. You can also find my brand, which is Wisdom. That's WILLSDOM. You can also follow me on Instagram, which is Wisdom Life. Again, that's Wisdom Life. And you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on YouTube. I have my YouTube channel that I'm highly pushing. I love it. And you can follow me on there, which is Willie D. Sanders. You'll see my logo, you'll see my picture, which, kind of explains everything, and find out more about my store. And yeah, I think that's all I have. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Yeah, that's my pillars right there.
Got you, man. Powerful interview, man. I appreciate you doing this. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day, man. I know you're family, man. I know you're a man of God, so I know you got a lot of responsibility. But you took the time out, man, to chill with TeflonJohn on the Art of Reinvention show, man. And I really appreciate that. I would just like to say, closing out, listen to what Will's saying. We got to stop assuming. We got to stop passing judgment. And we got to take time to do the research and get to know people and get to know situations before we come to a conclusion. Because like he said, a stereotype is just a misconceived thought. It's just a bad belief, some type of stereotypical belief that someone's taken in and they believe. So get out there and experience the world, meet new people, get out the same circle that you've been in for years, and get out there and just network. And you'll find that there are good people out there. There are good people to be in relationships with. There are good jobs. Sometimes when you're around people and all they talk is negative, that's all you're going to believe. So like I said, that was Willie Sanders and TeflonJohn just talking about how to break through stereotypes. And if you want to follow me, you can visit my website at www.iamteflonjohn.com. And as I always say, one love, be blessed.
I would like to thank you for listening to this episode of The Art of Reinvention by TeflonJohn. And we encourage you to share this episode across all your social media platforms. And we also encourage you to visit our website at www.iamteflonjohn.com and follow us on all our social media platforms at facebook.com/realteflonjohn, twitter.com/realteflonjohn, and instagram.com/realteflonjohn. And while you're on Facebook, go ahead and like our page so you can receive first-hand notifications every time we go live with the motivational video or any motivational content. And as I always say, one love, be blessed.